Flosstube, welcome back to Snickerdoodle Stitch. My name is Kathleen and this is a channel about cross stitch. For those of you who are visiting for the first time, welcome, and for people who are returning, thank you so much. I appreciate everybody checking out my videos. I'm a little disorganized tonight. It's been one of those weeks where I'm getting ready for the holidays. I finished decorating. And I ran out this afternoon after work to get my last Christmas present that I had to buy. I don't have to shop for too many people, but still, it's shopping that had to get done. So, went and finished that this afternoon, but it was raining and cold, and I was regretting not doing it yesterday. While I was out, one thing I did pick up, and I had picked up some of these on Black Friday. Michael's has these plain, they're all white. I got a ornament, and I've lost a ribbon off one, a snowflake, and then this I didn't even really think was Christmassy looking, but year round. So I picked up some of these for finishing. They're $1.99. But then they were 60 or 70% off, and then I got my 10% discount for being over 55. So I don't know, they came out to like 80 cents or 70 cents, something like that. So I picked those up. I thought they would be nice for finishing of ornaments, or the ones that weren't snowflakes, or this one that just kind of looked like a flower. I've got it all tangled up now. This one I could finish, and there's the missing ribbon. Could finish anything year round. So the inside hole is maybe 3.5 by 3.5, something like that on this one. And then the nice thing with the snowflake, you can make like a flat fold and just mount it on there. And again, it would be about 3 by 3, 3.5 by 3.5, and you'd still have the, what are those things called? The little spokey pieces of the snowflake. Now that's going to drive me crazy the rest of the night, and I'll be Googling that. I know there's a name for it, I just can't think what they are. So, yeah, I did some Black Friday shopping. I went to Michael's. They have a great frame sale Black Friday, so it would, for a lot of the frames it was buy one get one free. For some of the frames it was actually buy one get two free, and the one that you buy you do get the senior discount off of. So it made it super cheap. So I went through and measured a few things that I had here that I knew were kind of odd sizes. I knew I didn't have frames in stash, and picked those up at Michael's. And then I'll show in a little bit one of the stitching, which is for Christmas, that it just is too different from a standard frame. I mean, any kind of standard frame. Nothing in stock frames is going to fit it. So I'll share where I ordered a frame for that. But when I was decorating, thought I would show everybody. I found this. This was probably stitched around 1985 or 86, but it is one of the mouse ornaments that hangs on my tree, and this is a real wood frame, and it's on a sticky back circle, I'm pretty sure. I think the whole thing was a kit. No idea who it was by. It's got a lot of little red French knots on there on the wreath. But I thought I would share that since I came across it when I was decorating the tree. I don't have any finishes this week. And I didn't work on a lot of projects. I worked on 5, I think, but I did significant progress on all 5. So I was a little more focused this 2-week span. I had gotten behind on my temperature chart, and this is by ZahraDesignStudio, and it's called Motif Temperature Records. And I started this back January 1st, but I had gotten behind a whole month, so I got myself caught back up on it. Just put this paper behind there, and that is where I'm at with that. It is on, it's either 16 or 18 count white Aida. I picked the count so that it would fit in an 8x8 frame, and that was one of the frames that I bought at Michael's on Black Friday. It was a white 8x8 frame. So I'm all ready to frame this whenever the year ends. And there's actually only this half a row, and then there's one more row and a portion of the row, and then it gets the year on there. So it is really close to done, and I think I mentioned before, I won't be doing another one of these, not anytime soon, even though there's a couple ideas that other people have bounced around that I liked. Like, I love 614 Stitchers. Hers are very soft colors, and then my friend Lana, who's Silly Notion Stitcher, she talked about maybe doing it monochromatic, so just using like all blues, or maybe even all blues and greens, but not the whole rainbow spectrum. I don't have any purples in mine, but other than that, it's the rainbow. So I liked both of those ideas, and the ZahraDesignStudio has a pattern that is like a big cat shape, and then each little motif is a little cat face. Doesn't have any eyes or whiskers or anything. It's just like the little outline with the pointy ears. And I would like to do that, but I just got bored doing that, and I did get behind, but only 1 month and I got caught back up. So I didn't finish any of my fall stitching, but I pulled back. I worked again on Autumn Quakers, which is a Rosewood Manor pattern, and this is on 28 count. Picture this plus doubloon, and I'm using the called for Faldanis, which come in this cute little box, and I have them set up on my floss keeper. I had never used one of these before, but I mentioned last time this pattern has so many color changes in it. I mean, you literally are doing like 10 stitches, change a color, 10 stitches, change a color. That having all of the colors threaded up seemed to be the only way to handle that wasn't going to drive me crazy. I am a little worried. Has anybody done this and finished it? Because I'm a little concerned, especially with this one color, with how much I've gone through already. And I'll show you. So last time I showed this, I only had this corner motif and this round medallion right here done. And I got a lot done on this, but I'm concerned that I'm going to run out of floss, and it's kitted specifically for this. But so all I had done, sorry guys, all I had done last time was this corner and this circle. So I got this big huge medallion, and this, and the leaves, and this border with the acorns, and if I can go the right direction, there's a couple little birds over here that I did, but let me hold that up closer so you can see. I'm loving the colors. They're perfect fall colors and really pop on this fabric. The color's not showing up great here, but back here this is truer color. yeah, it's a lot of fun to stitch. You use the three strands right off the little spool of the Valdanis, so it's a really heavy coverage. If I hold it up closer, you can see how dense. Like, look at that purpley looking leaf. And it's really dense coverage, especially on the picture this plus, which I think tends to be a little tighter weave anyway. But a lot of fun, even with all the color changes. But I'm a little concerned. So I have basically one page done. It's not one full page, it's a big chunk. It's almost a full page, but then it's a big chunk of the second page. So it's a little over one page, but if you look at the pattern, it's really just this upper corner that I have done. And I swear I'm halfway through one of these flosses. So I'm really curious if anybody else has run out of floss. I'm really stingy with my floss. I mean, I will get that last stitch out of the floss that's left on my needle. We'll see. I'm hoping I don't have to buy more. I looked on Valdani's website and it doesn't look like they sell those in singles, but I'm guessing if I do run out of one color, I could email them and figure something out. So the next thing I worked on, I'm really hoping I can finish this week, is Welcome to the North Pole from Primrose Cottage Stitches. And this was stitch along, and I was a little behind because I didn't stitch this in November, and actually now it's December and I'm supposed to be done. This was November. I'm sorry, I didn't stitch this in October. So in November I had this and this to do. But I only did fall and Halloween stitching in October. I need to allocate more time for that next year because 1 month just isn't enough. And I need more than 1 month for Christmas too. So you're probably going to be seeing some Christmas even after the first of the year. Although I'm trying to find things that are just wintry, like snowmen, that aren't necessarily Christmas, because a lot of work goes in these to only have them up for a month. But I'm having a lot of fun with this one, and I am almost done. And sorry, almost everything is in Q-snaps, but this is the very bottom. So I'm really happy with the way the sled came out. And I've got part of Santa done there. I was trying to get up to where I could do all of the white, because then he's got red and I don't want my white turning pink. So I wanted to get the white stitched first. And Mrs. Claus, I only have her feet and a little bit of lace on the bottom of her dress there, but I've got all the snowflakes that go up around them done. So it really is just a bit on Mr. Claus, Santa Claus, and most of Mrs. Claus is still left to do, but that's gonna go pretty fast. So it's just, there they are in that bottom corner, but the colors in person I think are even brighter. This is on 28 count fiber on a whim, milk and honey. It's a dream to stitch on, and it's a really nice neutral. It's looking a little pink there. That's a truer color. But yeah, I think I'm gonna have to get some more of this just to keep in stash. Other than the challenge is what thread count I want, because I'm kind of all over the place on what thread count I stitch on. But we'll see. The colors are brighter, like I said, in person. So next time you see me, which will be 2 weeks from now, this should be done and framed. I already have the frame for this. So I might even try finishing stitching it tomorrow so that I can frame it and get it hung so that I can enjoy it a little bit before Christmas is over. All right, this next one was a start, and this is a kit from Dimensions. It's a current kit. I saw it in either Michael's or Joann's, and then I went back for it and it was gone, but I was able to get it online. It was all over the place, and it is called Jolly Trio Stocking. And let me cover my face so it will focus. I just love the expressions on their face, and of course it's got a little mouse on it, so that's what caught my eye. And it didn't look like it would be a tremendous amount of stitching, but that entire snowman is stitched in white. I'm probably going to do this shadow stitch around him and then decide whether I'm actually going to stitch him or just leave the Aida show through. It's just stitched on white Aida, and it would cut down considerably on the stitching. It's for me, so it's not like it's an heirloom or anything. I hadn't worked with a dimensions kit in a lot of years, and some things have changed. One, the Aida is the stiffest Aida I have ever worked with in my life. I had trouble even getting the Q-snap to go on, and I kind of wished I had just thrown this in the pile to use for dyeing fabric and pulled out a piece of white Aida that I like, because I'm not loving stitching on it, but it's fine. I got a lot done, so it's staying on that now. The other thing, the kit comes with the floss is already carded, and they're kind of glued in here. So this is the first I had experienced. I don't know how long Dimensions has been doing their kits this way. And the other thing I noticed, they've put kind of their own numbers on. They used to just have DMC numbers, and I recognize the DMC numbers. I'm guessing they maybe stopped doing that because if they don't have the DMC number on, somebody else can't take the chart from the kit and stitch the design. I mean, you could just pull colors if you had the picture, but you couldn't do exactly this without having the kit or somebody to convert all these numbers to DMC. But they're like 12,314 and 17,053 and 18,519. They're all like 5-digit numbers. The other thing is, it's over a yard long. And I'm guessing that the lengths are cut really long because today I think most people like to do a loop start, and it does make a nice length for a loop start. It's not a lot over a yard long, but I know from my arm out to my head, if I turn my head is a yard, and this is a little bit longer, so that's how I know they're a little bit over a yard. But it's a little awkward. I've got it tied now because if I'm not working on it, these strands are so long that they just become a tangled up mess. So when I'm working on it, I untie that knot and then I have them draped over the arm of the chair. And I got a good bit done on him. I got the whole hat done. So I know my grime guard is not very Christmassy looking, but I don't normally use a grime guard. This fabric, like I said, was so stiff that I needed something to help corral it while I stitched. And this grime guard was at one of the retreats. Somebody had a whole pile of grime guards on the freebie table. So if you're watching and you made this, thank you so much. It's made out of flannel, which is kind of nice to hold on to. But it's most of the hat. I have a little bit up at the top here. That's where I left off. But other than that, it's the whole snowman hat. And if you look at the pattern, the snowman hat is a pretty big chunk of the pattern. So I'll just keep working in the blacks and grays there and work my way up into the penguin. And then I think I'm probably gonna swing down and do this shadow, which is just 1/2 of the cross. So that will go pretty quickly. And then I can decide if I'm going to fill in the whole snowman or not. If I'm not going to fill in the whole snowman at the rate I'm going on this, I might finish this year. I don't know. We'll see. It's not like I need it for anything. All right, and is this my last thing? My last thing that I worked on, I had started this last year, and it's a pattern from Little Dove Designs, and it's called Home for Christmas. And if you look on her website, which is littledovedesigns.co.uk, and you can buy her patterns as well in LNS's. I don't know, 123 Stitch might have them as well. This one is actually Christmassy because it's got candy canes and it does have little light bulbs in there, but it wasn't so. I'm gonna leave it up all winter. To me, just at a glance, it's just wintry. It's not necessarily Christmassy. So, but anyway, her website, if you look on her website, she has it on 2 different fabrics. So she actually shows it. Here's what it looks like on this tan color, and here's what it looks like on gray. And I had seen it stitched on gray at my LNS. That was where I first saw this. And sorry, it's a little wrinkly, but it's almost done. I have some peppermint round candies that go in here, and then there's some trees, and then there's a row that's got some candy canes and a couple hearts. So that's all that's left to do. And then the mailbox should say home. And then in this space right here, it's to say for Christmas. But I may leave that out. I might just put my house number on the mailbox. Although my house number is kind of 13, so it seems kind of Halloween-y with unlucky 13. I've got to remember too, I've got 2 little red pieces left to do down here. And I can just see myself framing this. So the frame for this finishes at like 6 3/4 by 10 3/4. Really odd size, not one that I could pick a stock frame and make it work, especially because it does have such strong lines on it. It's not like the sides or the bottom are open where you could have a bigger border on the top and bottom and then on the sides or vice versa. You really need to have an even border around this with the frame. So Black Friday, I came home and I thought, well, let me just Google this weird frame size. And I did that not too long ago and actually was able to find a frame. But this one, nothing even online is coming up, but a company called Art2 Frames, ART space TO space frames, came up and they were very reasonable. And I went ahead and ordered a frame there. I didn't want glass, so I was like, okay, I'll just get one shipped through the mail. And I think with shipping, it was just a little over $20, which was more than I normally spend for a frame, but I couldn't really think of another way that I would want to finish this. I mean, it could go on a pillow or a wall hanging, but it just is an odd size to do that with. So I decided to go ahead and order. I've got a white frame, and the fabric that this is on, let me check the count. It's on 32 count, and it is Weigart Vintage Stormy Night, but I'm working on the back, so this is what the fabric would normally look like. So it's the same line and patterning as Vintage Country Mocha, but this is Vintage Stormy Night. When I was pulling the floss to do this, I started it last year. I think it was my New Year's start, or it might have been Christmas Eve. I wanted a gray that was dark enough that all of the white would pop on it, but it had to be light enough that this 932, 926, I don't know, it's one of those blue grays in that 900 series, needed to show up as well. So it couldn't be too dark, it couldn't be too light. I originally thought I would use this, but well, that's my messy back, which I'll show you my messy back. The pattern is kind of busy with all these snowflakes, and it was getting lost, I thought, on the fabric. So I flipped it over and I'm working on the back. So if you're ever, don't forget you could use either side. Because I was wanting to stitch from stash. And that gray, actually I'm really happy with that gray. So that was the end of my stitching. Now I have some stash I'll share. Some of this I just picked up, I'll kind of work backwards. This I just got Black Friday. And then I have some things that I picked up when I was shopping with some friends. I don't know, some of this might even be from Stitch New England. So Black Friday, I was checking out Fat Quarter Shop. They have 20% off everything on Black Friday. And I needed a little bit of quilt fabric. And so I decided to go ahead and check them out. And of course I had to look at the cross stitch patterns. And when I did, I just, you know, filtered on show me the newest stuff first. And one of the things that came up was this Mod Bloom box, which is really different looking. And the designer is Robin Pickens. So Robin Pickens designs fabric for Moda. So first, Camille from Bonnie and Camille Fabrics. She was designing cross stitch patterns. And now it looks like Robin Pickens is as well. And she's always got that tealy green, or a lot of the times anyway, so. I think that might even go with I'm making a couple jelly roll rugs and a shower curtain for my bathroom, and it's fabric from Robin Pickens that was out a few years ago, and I'm thinking this would work. This is pretty small. It's only 71 by 71, so on 14 count, it finishes at 5 1/8 inch square. So it's little, but I picked that up on sale. And then I picked up this Crocette GoGo Aspettando Natalie. I had no idea. And the picture's really tiny. This is gonna be hard to see. But what I wanted on this is this row right here. You can't really tell, but these are mice decorating the tree. So I'm not gonna hold that up any longer because it's just not focusing well, and it's such a tiny, I mean, I have to kind of really squint at it to see, but there were mice in it, and that's what caught my eye. So I'm probably not gonna stitch the whole thing. I just want the little mice decorating the tree. And Lord knows I don't need another Christmas thing that's like rose. I just showed too the Primrose Cottage stitches and the little dove, so I don't know what's with me. I'm apparently just drawn to that design. This next one I saw a while back and I didn't buy it, and then the store sold out, and it's Perfect Hot Cocoa from Primrose Cottage Stitches. Love this pattern. It's the little elf upside down in the hot cocoa, like he has fallen in. Which, drowning in chocolate might not be a bad way to go. Now that made me think of Willy Wonka. Maybe I'll watch Willy Wonka this weekend while I stitch. Now these I bought, I have no idea where these came from. I've had some stash here I haven't shown the last few times because my videos were getting kind of long, but this one is from Serenita di Campagna, and it's Let It Snow CV220, and it is a really cute little snowman with the bunny and the bird. The snowman's holding like some birdhouses, and it is 132 by 61. So that's what, like 5 by 8-ish, 114 count. He might be cute to do really big. I'll have to see what the count would work out to see about doing it on one of the really low count. One of the counts where it would be like 8 stitches per inch. See how big it gets that way. That would make a cute pillow. And this next one is from Lilli, Violette, and it's called Winter Joy. And I love the little girls over beside the carousel in their like retro little very timeless looking dresses and hats. And I love the foreign designers. It's all DMC, which seems to be all foreign designers use, but they do beautiful patterns just with DMC. This next one is for my Winter Not Christmas. Now, this little carousel, Winter Joy, this would be just winter for me as well. I do have red in certain rooms of my house, so red works for me, not just at Christmas. And same with that little snowman, but this is a different little snowman. It's from With Thy Needle and Thread, called Snow Magic. I've seen this one before, but I didn't have it in stash. And I did pick up, I know I've got some kind of light color white that'll work. I don't, the yellow, oh, it's grits for them. Oops, sorry gang. So his little sweater is in Really Tealy from Classic Colorworks. So I did go ahead and pick that up. I have a lot of Weeks Dye Works floss. I don't have much Classic Colorworks or Gentle Arts. And then I picked up 2 more of the Country Cottage Needlework Boardwalk Saga. These may be the last 2 that I get. I don't know. I need to see what the last shops were. I know these aren't the last 2 that are out, but it was supposed to be 7 across. And I'll be honest, I kind of get bored stitching the houses. So I got the, what the heck is this? This one is the Bike Shop. I can't get anything to focus. So that's the Bike Shop. And then this is the Boardwalk banner, which actually says Boardwalk. I do really like that one. But my Boardwalk may only be the Boardwalk banner and then 2 on each side instead of 3 on each side, because I don't think that's gonna, I don't like stitching the houses that much. And then this last one is a Stitches by Ethel. It's a new one that was out this year. It's called Garden Friends. You can get Stitches by Ethel on 123 Stitch. I think Garon Stitchery maybe is carrying them. And then Hodgepodge, my LNS, carries them. But she has a whole series of these patterns with the little mouse holding something up to the crow. In this one, it's a flower. I plan, me take it out of there. It's really bad glare. I plan to stitch all of these without the crow. The big crow looks creepy to me. He looks like he's towering over the mouse. I'm not a bird person. So I'm going to just stitch the little mouse in the wagon with the cardinal on the back. Like basically this without the crow. Just take the crow out. Maybe put a couple more of those little star thingy bobs up above. And it'll just look like a little mouse holding a flower. And there's other series. There's one with the little mouse holding like a candy corn to the crow. Holding a peppermint to the crow. Just kind of got the seasons going with it. I'm taking the crow out of all of them. That's just me. I know a lot of people will love it with the crow. All right, where are we at on time? This next stuff, I haven't shown. It is some stuff that I got on the freebie table at the last couple retreats. So it's not from one, it is from a couple retreats, but somebody actually put one of the floss organizers on the retreat table. So I picked that up and laughed because these paper strips that they give you that you slide it in there to mark your floss number on. I had bought a stash of something on eBay. It was a collection. It had a bunch of really good scissors, and it was just this odd collection of embroidery and sewing related stuff. And then in there was this big wad of these paper strips. I had no idea what they were for. I thought it was to punch a hole in them and just use them like a floss card. And as soon as I saw these in this kit, I went, oh, that's what those paper strips that I have are for. So, duh. But I'm loving using it on the Autumn Quakers. So I hadn't used it yet on that, but I'm excited to have another one of these. In fact, I put a couple on my Christmas list. And then a couple Mill Hill kits. This one is Spring Bouquet Pin. I'm not going to make a pin out of it, but it's the full unopened kit for this really cute little angel holding these flowers, which, all right, I'm covering my face because the camera will focus that way. You know, if I changed the floss on her dress and made it a little more green, it would really look Christmassy because the flowers are red. And it's a little angel. So I got that at one of the retreats. This one looks a little dated. It's Checkerboard series. Here, it's dated 1994, so it is a little dated. Haunted House. But again, it's a full kit. I'm probably going to do it without the checkerboard. The checkerboard, I think, is what makes it feel dated to me. But just Little Haunted House is cute. But it's the entire kit with the perforated paper and the buttons and everything. So I'll do that one because I like doing I like working on paper. And then somebody had October House Fiber Arts, A Country Day, and it's just this really cute, kind of springy, very open and airy. What size is this? This is 117 by 91. So on 32 count, it's 7/4 by 5 5/8. So if I did it on 36 count, it would fit in a 5x7 frame, I bet. I don't know that I want to frame it though. I'll probably just do it on, well, it could be 32 or 36 and just do it as a flat fold finish, but so that was October House, A Country Day. And then I was very excited to see these on one of the freebie tables. It's Jeanette Douglas Summer Posey and Winter Posey. And I have eyed these up. I have looked at those. I've had them in my basket and put them back multiple times. And I think I usually put them back because they're sold as kits. So it is this tiny little piece. But this one, they've even got all of the leftover floss in there, all carded up and everything. And I'm gonna bet as small as the piece finishes that that's enough floss to do it with. So I was very excited with those on the freebie table. This one is from Donc, Coeur Bebe, which is baby heart. I just want the bunny. I've never heard of this designer. I'll have to look and see if have I not heard of them because they're not really sold here. They are in France. Or if they don't design anymore, which is possible. I can't really read what the saying on there says. I mean, it's in French, and I can kind of, I can't even tell what this first letter is that's on there, but I just want the bunny. I'll do the little bunny peeking out over something, and then I'll complain the whole time about stitching all that weight. And then Hands-On Design, Resting Beach Face. I have Resting Stitch Face. So I was excited that this was on there. I'm gonna whip that up this summer. This one was one of the, it's an exclusive for Acorns and Threads, and it was a collaboration between Summer House Stitchworks, Ink Circles, and Hands-On Design. And oh, it was for 25 years of Acorns and Threads. I'm hoping I can get to Acorns and Threads next year. It's in Portland, and I'm going to be going out of Seattle for a cruise in August. But I may go stay in Oregon for a while before cruising. And then this is from the Scarlet House. It's Anne Topley 1802. I almost put this one back, but it's a really different looking sampler. It's pretty kind of pastel-y colors on the gray fabric. Let me see, what is that fabric? Does it say? Oh, double dyed Black Forest linen from Lakeside, with just one strand of Gentle Arts floss. Kind of looks like chalkboard linen. Just a couple more. This was a Shepherd's Bush kit. It's the whole kit. The Skelton School sampler. I don't think it's probably going to show up because the photo itself is very pale and washed out, but it was the full kit with the linen and the floss and some lace trim, because there's lace trim that goes across right here. I will not use the colors. I love, let me hold it back so the colors will show up right, maybe. I love Shepherd's Bush patterns, but they've all got this kind of lilac, dusty mauve, purpley, grayish purple color in them, and I just don't like that color, and it doesn't go with anything in my house. But so I'm going to change up the colors, but I love the little reeds that are on here. And then a lot of this is specialty stitches, like drawn thread kind of specialty stitches, so I do like doing that occasionally. And then these two Shepherd's Bush, I showed a while back that I did scatter eggs, and I did it on like 20 count, but over 2, so it made it 10 count that I was stitching, and I did 4 over 2 on the 20 count. And instead of it being a little pincushion, it's the front of a long like 12 by 16 pillow. I mean, I've got fabric around it framing it, but it goes on a pillow. So they also had on the freebie table the scattered hearts pattern. So it's the same as the scattered eggs. And then they also had scattered Christmas. So I picked those up. That scattered eggs was a really quick stitch. And I don't have anything else that goes on that long pillow form. So I changed my pillows out. I changed my cover on my pillows. But that long pillow just gets, it's just in the closet now because it's not Easter. So speaking of pillows, so last thing I will share, I'm going to show a little bit of sewing quilting stuff. I don't know if you can see. This is actually, I thought you would see more of it. That's actually a Christmas quilt. I swapped out my villages, and the pattern is from Fat Quarter Shop Jolly Bar book. And it went with a kit, which is what that's from. And I think it was Tasha Noel fabric. It's from a few years ago, and I bought it on clearance, so they were closing it out then. So I know you can't still get it, but it's a super easy quilt pattern. And went together really quickly. And then my Christmas tree, I don't have any, I just bought the tree this year because I wanted a tree in my office, but I said I wasn't going to buy any ornaments. And then I remembered that in like late 2020, I took a class with Concord and Ninth. They're a rubber stamp company out of Salt Lake. And it was like a get your Christmas tags, ornaments all done in a day. So in one day we made this whole shebang of paper things, and that's what I hung all over my tree. So there's a few balls on there that I just had in stash, and then the rest is all paper ornaments from the class. But back to sewing, because that's what I was talking about. How did I get distracted talking about the tree? So these are a couple pillows that I have that I get out for Christmas. But I put zippers on, so I'll actually take this off. It's just lined with some old fat quarter that I didn't like from a fat quarter bunch. But I have 2 of these. And he's sideways. The snowman will come off, and I've got some Easter bunnies that go on here next. So about the time I'm taking the snowman down, it's usually Marchish, and then Easter is out. So these were pillows that I made and quilted, and really I made them because I fell in love with this snowman fabric and really wanted to make something with it. But I don't normally quilt with like fussy cut designs like that. So I just made my own star pattern so that it would fit the pillows, the standard pillow form. So those are some snowman pillows. And then this is a Christmas quilt. So this is, let me go this direction. This is a jelly roll race. So if you Google, if you don't know what that is, if you Google jelly roll race, I think it got the name because quilt guilds would actually, they would race making these. But you take a roll of the 2.5-inch strips, which is called a jelly roll. Moto calls it a jelly roll. And you sew the ends all together. Like if you have your long strips, you just sew the short ends together until you've got one strip that's a mile long. and then you fold it up on itself and you sew all the way down, and you fold it up on itself and you sew all the way down. And that first seam feels like it takes forever, but it actually is half of the sewing is in that very first seam that you do, because after that it exponentially gets shorter and shorter and shorter. But it goes really fast. You can sew a top in about 4 hours. And then I cut a line out. I cut it about 15 inches in and put that inset in there. And I did that for 2 reasons. One, just to give it a little more visual interest so that it didn't look like it was just a bunch of strips sewn together. And 2, the Jelly Roll Race quilt isn't quite as wide as what I would like. The length is fine, but the width, it just is a little narrow. And that's just the nature of how you make the quilt, and that's the size it ends up being. And so putting this inset in there gives it like another 5 inches of width, because these are this is a charm pack stuck in here. And this is my all-time favorite Christmas line. It was called, it's either Sweet or Swell. I think the first one was Swell. I might have it backwards. They made one line. The first year it had the Santa, and the next year they made a very similar line, but it pulled in a little bit of blues and it had a snowman. And one was Sweet and one was Swell, and I love both of them. And this was the first year, and I really wanted to make something with that line. And then on the back of this, it is not minky, but it kind of feels like it. But my trick is, and now is a good time of the year, is to hit up Home Goods or Marshalls and look for their oversized fleecy throws. So they're a little bit heavier than minky. They don't stretch as much as minkies, so it's actually a little bit easier to work with. And it's pretty inexpensive. So for around 10 to 12 bucks, you can get a really nice throw. You do need to know your quilt measurement in advance. So this doesn't make a huge quilt. So they make what I think they call an oversized throw, and it's 50 by 70 or something like that. It's just a little bit bigger than the normal, what they would call their normal size. And they will work for throws, generally. If not, then you have to go into the like bedding, which is also not a bad option. I did a quilt for a friend a couple years ago, and I used a queen size fuzzy blanket for the back, but the whole thing was so heavy, and I quilt on my domestic sewing machine. It is a 11-inch throat. It's not a little tiny machine, but it's not huge either, and it's not a long arm. And wrestling that heavy thing through that machine, yeah, I did a lot of cursing with that quilt. I was already cursing because the quilt was brown plaid, and I hate brown. It's not a color I would ever use, but my best friend, it's the colors. She uses all earth tones in her house. So I knew she would love it, and she loved plaid, so it's kind of a buffalo plaid in these different browns, and yeah. It was a work of love, because it wasn't fun. But anyway, that's all my quilt talking for today. And I think that's everything that I have. I will be back again in 2 weeks. And then, yeah. And then 2 weeks after that will actually be after Christmas. So I think I can stick to my every other week schedule, which is good. And that last week of the year, I may do a whip and bag parade. I've got to look and see like how many whips do I actually have. I'm not sure I have enough for a whip parade, but we'll see. If nothing else, it would give me a good opportunity to organize all of my project bags and kind of remind myself of what I have in the works and know what I want to start on I would say in January, but January I'm still going to be sewing or stitching Christmas and winter. I know that. I've got a lot of winter stitching I want to do. I might even be stitching winter into February. So that's my stitching plans for this week. Finish Primrose Cottage Stitchers Welcome to the North Pole. Work a little more on Little Dove. Oh, and work some more on my snowman mouse stocking. Christmas shopping is done. I've got to wait for a few more things to come in the mail, and then I'll jump on the wrapping, because I like to wrap early enough that I can see the pretty packages all under the tree for a while. One year I wrapped like 2 days before Christmas, and I hated it because I never really got to enjoy seeing them wrapped. Nobody did. I wrapped them all and then took them to one of my relatives' houses to give them all out. So I'm not doing that this year. I'll be wrapping in the next week once the last of my packages arrive. So that may derail me for my stitching a bit. We'll see. I don't have to shop that much, but it's a couple nights wrapping. So it's a couple nights stitching that I will lose. So I hope you all had a fantastic Thanksgiving and that everybody is safe and healthy and staying warm. It got cold here finally. I finally got into some blues, back into that on my temperature chart. So yeah, I think that's everything for this week. So have a fantastic week, and I will see you on 2 weeks. Bye.